On today's episode of the Real Relationships Show, I am joined by Sue Falcone. Now, Sue is the founder and chief executive officer of Remarkable, a speakers bureau. Sue, thank you so much for joining me today. And equally, I'm excited to be speaking to you in the US as well. So, how lucky are we? The joys of technology. Fantastic. Now, Sue, before I ask you about your business, which is something I'm interested in, I'm absolutely fascinated by your relationship story, which you have been kind enough to give me a little bit of an insight into. Can you, for our listeners' and viewers' sake, give me a bit of your background from where it started? You're originally from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and you had quite an incredible life, quite a good career, and exactly corporate America, and you were married 3 times, and you have a really remarkable story about that, which we're going to go into a bit later on. But please give us an overview of sort of your life and your relationships to date. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Wow. Mm-hmm. 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 Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm hearing all the different strands of relationships through what you're saying now. And you started from a place where you had no model, no concept of what makes a strong, healthy, and robust relationship. And you've gone out and carved that relationship, those relationships for yourself, starting with your relationship with God, which you said to me, that's the one key relationship that's got you through your journey of life. But you've gone on and, like many of us, you've been married more than once, and you learn from each of those marriages because they're as good and bad in all of the relationships, even those that we walk away from. because perhaps they are not great, we still have lessons to learn from them. And there were good times there as well. So you've learned from that to now be in a relationship, which to me sounds like it's completely unconditional, and enabled you to model a strong, healthy relationship to your child, to your daughter, to your stepchildren, your blended family, and to continue to build and work in this servant leader mode, which you're quite right, many of us in this sort of work, that's exactly what we are. It's about serving others through our own experiences, our own training, which we learn along the way, and enabling them to have such a much better life, be it through relationships, through business, with God, whatever it might be. And you're so right that relationships run through everything, whether it's a relationship with your pastor or your minister, your relationship with God, your relationship with the people you work with, your coaches and mentors, and your relationship with your family as well. But I'm interested to know where this grit came from. You talk about your grandmother who looked after you. You talk about the librarian who enabled you to have a safe space. But where did that grit come from within Sue Falcone that made you strive to achieve? Because you've said to me you were the first one in your family who graduated from high school and attended college. That's a massive achievement for a young girl, as you would have been at the time, for a young girl to achieve when she hasn't got the support, when she hasn't got people mentoring her who've been through that process within her own family. Tell me about that. Mm-hmm. 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 Fantastic. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Goodness. Mm-hmm. 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 Exactly. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Fantastic. And I think you've hit the nail on the head, Sue. You talk about resilience, but you're talking about making choices because you've had a lot of adversity in your life. I've had a lot of adversity in mine, and I'm aware people will say to me, "Well, how do you keep going? Why do you keep going? Why don't you just give up?" And they ask how I can be so positive all of the time. And you're saying, you're a very positive person. I can see that you're very bubbly, vivacious, outgoing, and exactly. It is about the choices we make and how we treat other people, because we have to model to other people how we want our relationships to be. We have to model to those people how they should treat us, how we expect to be treated. And I'm sure you, like me, took a long time to come to that realization. Particularly, you've been married 3 times. I've been married twice. I'm with a long-term partner now who we've said we probably won't get married, but we might. Who knows? Jury's still out on that one. But what I like, Sue, is the funny story that you have about both of your exes. Now, you say that you've outlived both of your exes. I'm sorry to hear that they've both since passed. But you said each one remarried to somebody. Tell us the story. Mm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. All five? Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mhm. 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 Exactly. Exactly. And of course, that involves having some quite difficult conversations as well in your relationship with your husband working alongside you. So it's not just your business finances, but your personal finances that you're sharing. And I know from the work I do that most couples do not like to talk about money. It's one of the most difficult conversations they have. It's one of the biggest stress points. It's what causes the most arguments. But when you can have that difficult conversation, when you can be open and transparent about it, as you have said, it suddenly takes your relationship to a completely different level. And like you, I sat down with my partner and said, "You really don't want to enter into a relationship with me. I've got all of this in my past. I used to be a sex worker. What are people going to say?" He said, "It doesn't matter about your past. That's not who you are now. The person I see in front of me is the person I want to be with." And when somebody says that to you, particularly after you've had the sort of relationship experiences you and I have had, it takes you by surprise and unawares, but you learn through them, through allowing yourself to be vulnerable, through being open, honest, and transparent, that it is possible to create a fantastic relationship, which is what I've done, which is what it sounds you have done, to a point where you are now expanding your business together. You've got a fantastic family. So tell our listeners and our viewers where they can find out more about you, because I'm sure we are going to have people who want to find out what happens next for Sue Falcone. Mhm. 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 That's fantastic. Thank you, Sue. And I will put all of those details in the show notes as well for our listeners. Sue, you're welcome. It's been an absolute delight speaking to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much for joining me on the Real Relationship Show. I'm sure we will.